We're talking with Kimberly Duffy about her upcoming release, Tapestry of Light. And thank
Mhm.
you for chatting with us today, Kimberly.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
This book takes place in Calcutta and you
Mm.
spent time there. What continues to draw you back to the country? Now that you've traveled there, been immersed in the culture a little bit, what continues to draw you to the country as a setting?
Um, there's no other country like India in the world. It's a sensory delight. You you can't go there and not recognize just the explosion of color and scent and sound and warmth. And there's these extremes in temperature and weather patterns. And you're walking down the street and you see these massive palaces built in marble, and then one block over you're in one of the largest slums in the world. Like there's so much contrast, and it makes it really easy to write beautiful descriptive scenery when you're setting a book there.
I think for a lot of people in North America, we think of Bollywood or maybe Slumdog Millionaire. How is reality different than perhaps what we've seen in film, or is there much difference? Because obviously, Slumdog Millionaire in particular touches on both the rich and the very poor.
Right.
But in
Yeah.
your experience, how are
Well,
things different?
in real life, people don't just burst out singing and dancing, like in a Bollywood movie, which is unfortunate. I wish they did, but they don't, even though Indians are very musical for the most part and love to dance and party. Um, but I mean, Slumdog Millionaire was a fantastic movie. I really enjoyed it. I think the main difference is that life there is just life, like you just like here you have a disparity between wealthy and poor. I think it's probably, well, it's definitely bigger there than here. There's some extreme poverty there, but people just go on with their life and they're used to what they're used to, and they try to make a better life for their children, and they just work and live and celebrate and love.
One of the aspects of your writing is the detail. And so I imagine a country like India allows you a chance to have a lot of detail, but it's not just there. When you're describing something like a doorknob, I mean, some people would say, and he turned the doorknob, but you use a lot more words to describe something like that.
Always so many more words.
Is that just something that you thrive on? Is that something that is part of your own life where you tend to give detail?
Notice things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Yeah, I'm very detail oriented. I think part of that is that I've been an editor for a flash fiction magazine for a number of years, and so I've learned that when you're telling a story in less than 1,000 words, every word matters. So instead of saying a doorknob, if you add one descriptive word with that, it adds a whole new element. And I want to write stories that people can see in their head. And if just describing something with a few extra words does that, then I'm going to do that.
Yeah. It almost is like a painting when you're reading.
Mhm.
It unfolds that way. Tell us a
That's
little
well,
bit.
that's what I see when I'm writing. I see in my head. I see images and visions. So
That doesn't surprise me in the least. Yeah, because it is very much like that. Tell us a little about Tapestry of Light, that plot line, without giving away too much. What are we in store for?
sure. I I love this story. It's very personal to me. So when I write my books, I plot the life out of them before I ever start writing them. But I never plot spiritual arcs ever. I want those to be organic to the story and the character. And depending on who the character is, like in the Mosaic of Wings, my main character was a scientist, and she wasn't very introspective or philosophical. So there wasn't going to be a lot of that deep internal thinking about faith, right?
Right.
So, but with the Tapestry of Light, my character is very much introspective, and faith is an integral part of her story. And so that came out of nowhere. I had no idea that this spiritual arc was going to happen, and it's very much my spiritual arc for my own life. And so I feel a very personal connection to Audley and her story. Outside of that, it's set in my favorite city in the world, which is Calcutta. I love that city. It's like crumbling colonial graveyards and these mansions, and just the military aspect of it. It's a really fascinating place to be. You get a real sense of that place when you're there. You can almost hear the echoes of the past when you drive down the streets. Beautiful city. But it was also inspired by a little piece of material, a little piece of fabric I saw at an Indian fabric museum exhibit. And the fabric was embroidered with these beautiful beetle wings. I had never seen anything like that. I didn't even consider that anyone had ever used beetle wings in fashion, right? Now,
Right.
I love fashion and I love style. So I just found it really fascinating that people had used these. And I was just coming off of, writing a mosaic of wings. And so I had bugs in my mind all the time. And so I saw this little scrap of fabric and I thought, I'd really like to write a book about this, about using this. And so when I was thinking about, a Tapestry of Light, I found out that it would have been popular during that time. It would have been popular from mid 1800s up through the early 1900s, but it would have been popular during that time, that type of embroidery, and it just kind of oddly came to me at that moment.
Wonderful. Well, very much looking forward to A Tapestry of Light, which is coming out for March. And thank you, Kimberly, for taking the time to chat with us today about your book.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.